We all love Spotify, right? Right? What if I told you it wasn't made to share the gift of music with the world? It was actually made to sell data about stuff going in your earholes to advertisers. And as a result, it has centralized the music industry, putting users into their own listening bubbles and limiting artists' avenues for success. So, how can we as users of Spotify change the way we listen to fight back? To help us out, we have Novak from Sydney rock band Polish Club to dish the dirt on the industry. The two-piece Novak and John Henry have been rocking since 2014 and have a lot to say about the music industry.
If I were to be completely honest, I'd be like, fuck Spotify. It's totally evil and no one should use it. But the flip side of the coin is I use it every day. I think it's really good as a user.
We need to start looking at Spotify not from a music perspective, but a techno-economic perspective. Spotify belongs to a range of social web computing businesses that are self-proclaimed platforms. The term platform connotes egalitarian ideas of participation and sociality. Spotify in theory is the largest stage for artists to share their music with the world. Still, in practice, it is highly centralized on its capitalistic and economic intentions. The originally Swedish company is neither particularly Swedish nor solely about music. The founders Daniel Ek and Martin Lorenzo haven't had a majority share of the company since 2009. Spotify has been owned by various venture capital firms whose goal it is to make Spotify not profitable but valuable to get a return on investment. Spotify was never really about the music. Other major stakeholders are the big three record companies, Universal, Sony, and Warner.
It's all Spotify. They have the whole market share and they have the power they have now is scary. They have way more power over even our label, Universal, the biggest label in the world. They have no agency above Spotify.
Spotify delivers record labels a service in the form of your metadata, which is extremely valuable to record companies and advertisers. Spotify is actually quite open about its collection of metadata to its users. It has become an extra selling point and service for the business through things such as Spotify Wrapped, introduced in 2017. For artists, the data can positively boost their awareness of their audiences.
For like the artist Wrapped page, the one that I really like, because it's kind of equal across all levels of band, whether you're like just starting out and getting a little bit of a following, or if you're like a massive band, the number of countries that people have listened in tends to be quite surprisingly high for everyone, even smaller bands, because all it takes is one random in Belarus to get fed your song. But it's a really sweet thing to see when a smaller band, an independent band or whatever, can be like, oh, we've been listened to in 170 countries. Those things are really cool, and like that is a really beneficial way of using data.
Spotify users are shown their personalized statistics, and the data is packaged in an extremely shareable format that gets users to compare their data with others. But for artists, it can also introduce stress and turn data and statistics into a popularity contest.
But you have to share it, and you have to pretend to be happy with it. And then there's other acts who you didn't think were big, but have like 1 billion streams, and you're like, what the fuck? The whole thing is designed to just, not designed to, but I'm convinced the end product of that is a net loss in people's emotions, and it just makes people feel bad. There are the positives of like the country thing, and it's all dressed up in this celebratory way. But ultimately, it's just a reminder that everyone's keeping track. Everyone's paying attention to all these metrics, and everything is dependent on it. And it's like, you should care because everyone's sharing it. You should care.
The use of data extends to algorithms used to curate playlists and recommend songs to users. Spotify playlists are what they call algotorial, human curated and then machine personalized. Spotify employees choose the songs that appear in these playlists, and then AI determines which ones are presented to certain users based on their data to create a personalized experience.
How AI systems work and how they train, how they develop. It's unlike a computer system where you write a program and that's it. An AI system constantly develops, it learns, it grows.
AI algorithms fall subject to the concept of the hermeneutic circle, a way of describing the closed loop of prejudice that arises when people view media within their own self-reflecting circle of bias. Platforms like Spotify use data to predict with AI what types of media align to your biases, and in turn, you respond to these predictions and perpetuate your own prejudice. As a result, your circle gets tighter and tighter.
People would have a variety of genres who weren't tethered to what has gone before. You know, people trusted in curation. People trusted in, you know, other people's ability to hop between genres and hop between tastes and curate something that makes sense. That doesn't happen so much. So it's like very much, it's like the comfort food of listening to music, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, this is great. This is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I like. But it's always going to be the same.
These sorts of biased AI systems present broader implications. AI data profiling has been used for policing with racially profiled data biases towards minorities.
Stereotyping literally sort of baked into the analyses, which then have the appearance of being objective because artificial intelligence and high-level computing is involved.
Surya Matu believes that data surveillance through something as small as a toothbrush could be used against you for insurance policies in the future. A YouTuber called Yorkai made a video essay on the genre of funk and how Spotify's editorial playlist has perpetuated a false perception of the genre created by its popularization on TikTok.
The funk playlist brings in so many streams that for many of the artists featured, it's their top playlist. So what's the catch? Well, unless you make cowbell-heavy funk tracks that TikTok would love, you don't have any realistic chance of ending up on the playlist.
As a result, Spotify's curated playlists become small, commercially viable snapshots of the genres they represent. This is just one example of how Spotify's positioning as a mediator of music is much more authoritative in its AI and curation systems than it first seems.
Any practicing artist who releases music and has a fan base, all they're trying to do is get on playlists because that's the make or break now. That is like, if you can get your song onto Coffee and Chill, that's gonna, build you as an artist. So it kind of sucks.
They curate playlists in a way that will satisfy their major stakeholders, in turn boxing artists into categories they can't break out of to reach new listeners.
A fucking rock song screaming about Scott Morrison is not going to get on any playlist, and that's fine. I don't fucking care, but it is a factor in life. It's not going to dictate what we write, but you can't help but be conscious about it.
It blurs ethical boundaries and makes you question who or what chooses the music that is recommended to me. The Markula Center for Applied Ethics asks, if personal data is not a commodity but something constitutive of us as human beings, does that make those transactions more akin to organ donations? So how can we break out of the music discovery bubble that Spotify and its AI systems have put us in? Go beyond just relying on Spotify curated playlists and use the full set of discovery tools Spotify offers. The related artist tab, song suggestions for playlists, artists and playlist radios, and playlists created by other users. Spotify is mainly built on biased systems, but using them sparingly and thoughtfully will help you discover quite obscure music. We can also look to outside sources for music discovery. Bandcamp is another platform that fosters music discovery but also has its own AI algorithms. Reddit and Facebook communities are also great places for music discussion and recommendations. Spotify's founders say that when they started Spotify, it was to create a product that was better than piracy and help their friends discover better music. But was that really their only goal? Especially when you realize that at that point they were already both multi-millionaires from their own respective digital marketing and advertising companies. Spotify has been able to construct the narrative that they have saved the music industry from piracy and monetary extinction. They've given consumers a way to pay for music through monthly subscriptions while still essentially free access to millions of songs.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for saving us from what? Not getting 0.2 of a cent per play. Fuck off.
It is a well-known fact that artists are paid around 0.1 to 0.8 of a cent per stream.
No, it literally doesn't matter, because if you're getting enough streams that to the point where it's like a considerable amount of money and something noticeable, you're the kind of artist who doesn't need that amount of money because you're getting way more from somewhere else. So it's essentially irrelevant.
Spotify replaced piracy with monopoly and algorithmic music discovery.
There's a really, really good quote. You know Jack Antonoff?
Field of art is much bigger than we give it credit for, and there's lots of work within it. But we've created a system where, because you're so lucky to be there, quote unquote, we make the artist buy that, and then we make the artist okay with almost feeling like an embarrassment about trying to make a living within it.
It's gotten to a place where it's like, get a real job, man. But then you see things like there's stats where the Australian music industry brings in, or the arts in general brings in like $111 billion a year. So like there's money being fucking poured into the arts. It just isn't going to the artist.
With the death of piracy comes the death of culture, limiting people to the restricted avenues of Spotify playlists.
That was the good part of having music taste. That was a good part of engaging with music. There had to be something informing that decision to go and pirate the music. Whereas now, if people had to fucking pirate music, they wouldn't know what to download. With like Discover Weekly, it's like, that's great, but can we have people do it too? Can we have criticism? Can we have more algorithmic playlists that, you know, don't just put a blanket over us and put us to bed because we're so comfy?
If you're a fan of an artist's work, it's important to recognize that Spotify streams won't directly benefit the artist. Buying their music, whether it's digital copy or physical copy in LPs and CDs, will greatly support the artist financially. Buying merchandise and going to their live shows are even better ways, as artists usually get a bigger cut from those revenues. So fuck Spotify, right? But we all love it and we're gonna use it, so we might as well use it properly. Work around the AI systems to get the most out of music discovery on Spotify, and support your favorite artists.
We have Now We're Cooking in Hell, the new record by Polish Club. It's out June 10. Shove it up. Yeah. Get it in, yeah.